a glittering royal hall, a deaf grandmother sat alone, invisible to the chattering family at the far end of the table. Elena Reeves, elegant but forgotten, watched the feast with eyes that had grown used to silence. Then a young waitress named Charlotte entered the hall, carrying a tray of champagne flutes. Her gaze swept the room and stopped at the far end. An old woman, utterly alone. Charlotte set down her tray, ignored the stares, and walked the length of the table toward the forgotten grandmother. Elena looked up, startled, as someone finally approached her after so long. The waitress knelt beside the wheelchair, raised her hands, and signed, "Hello, my name is Charlotte." Elena's face crumbled from shock into overwhelming joy. Her hands trembled as she signed back.
What is that waitress doing? She can't just sign. Here, in front of everyone.
She's signing to Mother. Oh my God.
Elena's hands flew, signing fiercely to Charlotte, the first real conversation she'd had in years.
She says, "They stopped trying. My own family stopped talking to me."
That's enough. You are dismissed. Leave the table now.
But Elena's hand shot out and clamped around Charlotte's wrist. Her eyes blazed as she signed, "Number. She stays."
"Sir, she's been silent for years. She needs this."
Leo shoved his chair back, the screech cutting through the room. He stormed toward the exit without a word.
Victor, let her be, please.
She's making a spectacle. I won't have my mother paraded like this.
I'll find a way. I promise, Elena.
She walked away, leaving Elena alone at the end of the table. But Charlotte's heart pounded with a promise she couldn't yet keep.
That old woman, forgotten by everyone. How can a family be so broken?
With a deep breath, Charlotte pushed through the kitchen doors and spotted Leo striding down the corridor.
Leo, wait, please. I need to understand what just happened in there.
Understand what? That my father is a monster who traded his family for money. He was never there. Not when she got sick. Not when she died.
Your mother. Isabel, what really happened? Why do you blame your father?
She hid her illness because she knew he wouldn't care, and I watched her fade alone.
Charlotte left Leo with his anger and walked back toward the silent dining hall. Inside, the table was nearly deserted. Elena sat alone, exactly as before. Charlotte knelt again, and Elena signed urgently. "My room, a letter. It will explain everything." Elena pressed the brass key into Charlotte's hand, her ancient fingers shaking. Charlotte climbed the grand staircase and unlocked the door to Elena's suite. Inside the antique desk, a small locked drawer hid a single object, a yellowed envelope tied with a faded ribbon. The words, "To my family," written in blue cursive. She sat on the edge of the bed and slid the letter free. "My dearest family, I have kept a secret from you all. I was diagnosed with a rare illness. I chose to hide it, even from Victor. I did not want my sickness to tear you apart." Charlotte's breath caught. The accusations Leo had thrown at his father, they were built on lies. She folded the letter slowly, the weight of its truth pressing against her chest. Whatever it cost, this family had to know, and she would be the one to show them. Charlotte pushed open the ballroom door, the yellowed envelope clutched in her fist.
What is that in your hand? Where did you get that?
It's Elena's letter, for all of you. She wanted you to know the truth.
Victor lunged, snatching the letter from her hand. In one violent motion, he ripped it in two. Elena's face twisted in horror. A silent, strangled cry caught in her throat.
Still playing the victim, Father. You'd rather shred her words than hear them.
Clara dropped to her knees, hands shaking, gathering the scattered fragments. Charlotte knelt beside her, their fingers meeting over the torn pieces of Isabel's last words. The letter lay in ruins, scattered like snow across the polished floor. The feast had shattered. The family stood frozen, the echo of tearing paper, the only sound. Clara and Charlotte spread the fragments on a side table, piecing them together like a desperate puzzle. The blue cursive reappeared in jagged lines. I knew the treatment was risky, but I had to.
Isabel chose an experimental procedure. She knew the danger. She did it anyway.
He knew. He always knew, and he let her die alone.
I didn't know. I swear on my life, she hid everything from me.
Elena's hands flew in desperate signs, but not a single family member turned to watch.
Both of you, stop. This isn't about blame, it's about her voice, finally.
I loved Isabel. You have no idea what I lost when she died.
Please, there's more. She wanted forgiveness, not fighting.
The room had splintered. The letter lay half assembled, its message still trapped in torn paper. Then Elena's hands sliced the air. Every eye in the room froze on her urgent signs.
She says, you've all been blind for years, but she kept one piece of proof.
From her purse, Elena drew out a worn photograph and pressed it into Charlotte's palm. Charlotte turned it over, and the air left the room. The photograph showed Isabel Reeves in a hospital bed, gaunt but smiling, holding up a handwritten sign. The note read, "For Leo, I fought to see you graduate." Leo's face crumpled. He whispered only one word, "Mom." Without a word, Leo crossed the room and knelt beside Elena's wheelchair.
She says, I promised Isabel I would keep this until you were ready to see it.
The photograph lay in Leo's trembling hand. The room held its breath. The war suddenly suspended. The photograph lay in Leo's hand, but Victor's eyes were locked on it, memories crashing back.
That day, she told me it was nothing, just a routine check.
She really hid it from you. All this time I thought you knew.
Victor's legs gave way. He sank into the nearest chair, his face buried in his hands.
She says, Isabel begged me to hide this. She didn't want to tear you apart.
Then we have to finish reading. The letter will say the rest.
Every memory I've hated him for was built on a lie.
Elena's frail hands lifted one more time, demanding they listen. The room was a frozen tableau of grief and regret. No one dared to break the silence. Charlotte unfolded the last fragment of the letter, and the truth Isabel died to protect was finally about to be spoken.
The letter says, I know I hurt you both by hiding this, but I did it out of love.
You were never there after she died. You buried yourself in your empire and left me alone.
I was drowning in grief. I didn't know how to face you or the world.
Please, we need to finish. The letter explains everything, if you'll just listen.
Explains what? That she hid it because you made her afraid to tell the truth.
I never gave her reason to be afraid. She was everything to me.
Elena's hands flew in frantic signs, but the shouting drowned her out.
Leo, look at your grandmother. She's trying to tell you something.
She says, please, let the letter speak. I hold her last words.
The room teetered on the edge of violence. The letter remained unread, its truth suspended. Then Elena's hands rose again, not frantic now, but steady and absolute. The shouting died.
She says, Isabel made me promise not to tell you until you were ready. You were never ready until tonight, and I am tired of watching you destroy each other.
She's been waiting all these years, and I was too blind to see it.
She says, let the letter speak. It is Isabel's voice, the only voice that matters now.
The room exhaled. Victor's head remained bowed. Clara pressed a hand to her chest. Leo sank into a chair, his legs no longer able to hold him. The fight drained from his shoulders. Charlotte lifted the reassembled letter. The jagged pieces shook in her hands.
Okay, read it.
The room held its breath. Charlotte's eyes found the first line, and finally, Isabel's true voice began to speak. Charlotte's voice was steady as she began to read the first complete sentence aloud. I knew the treatment was risky, but I had to see Leo graduate. I had to watch my son walk across that stage. Victor's breath hitched, a strange raw sound in the silence. I hid it from Victor because he would have moved the world to save me. I couldn't let him sacrifice Leo's future. Forgive your father. He knew nothing. All of this was my choice, and my silence is my only regret. Leo covered his mouth, a choked sound escaping him.
She did it for me. She died so I could have a future, and I hated him for it.
She never told me. All this time, she carried it alone.
The weight of the revealed truth pressed the air from the room. No one moved. The letter hung in Charlotte's trembling hands. Isabel's final request now laid bare before them all. Leo stood slowly, his legs unsteady, and took a single step toward his father.
All these years, I blamed you for something you didn't do.
Victor lifted his head, tears carving tracks through the lines on his face.
I should have been there, Leo. I was absent. I let my grief swallow me whole.
The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. No one moved. Elena's hands lifted, her signs a gentle command.
She says, "Forgive each other. It is what Isabel wanted."
Leo looked from his grandmother to his father, his chest heaving with the effort of holding back. There were no words left, only the raw space where decades of anger were beginning to dissolve. They stood on the edge of something neither dared name, but neither could walk away. Elena's hands rose once more, cutting through the thick silence with a command only Charlotte could translate.
She says, "It is time, Leo. Let the anger go."
Leo paced a tight circle, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides.
If I let this go, who am I? What have I been fighting for?
Victor sat motionless, tears spilling silently down his face, his eyes fixed on his son.
Listen to her, Leo, please.
She says, "Forgiveness is not for the past. It is for the future."
Leo froze mid-step. The war inside him went silent. Victor's hand lifted from his lap, trembling, reaching out across the space between them. Leo stared at his father's outstretched hand, and the room held its breath, waiting for his choice. Leo crossed the final inches and gripped his father's hand, the touch electric with grief and hope.
I am sorry, Leo. I wasn't the father you needed, and I'll regret that every day left of my life.
Me too. I hated you for something you never did, and I can't take that back.
The words hung in the air, fragile and unfinished, but they were enough to crack the silence that had lasted 15 years. Clara pressed a hand to her chest, a sob catching in her throat as she watched her brother and nephew finally see each other.
She says, "It is done. The anger that poisoned this family is finally dying."
Victor's shoulders shook, and fresh tears carved paths down his face.
I don't know how to forgive overnight.
Neither do I, but we can try, together.
The first real tears began to fall. Not of grief, but of release. A torrent dammed up since Isabel died. Without another word, Victor pulled his son against his chest, arms locking tight as if Leo might vanish. Leo's body went rigid. His fists stayed clenched at his sides, the last shields of a long war.
What if it's too late? What if we can't undo 15 years?
I've got you, son. I am here.
A tremor ran through Leo. His fists uncurled and his arms rose to grip his father's back. Clara stepped forward, her hand settling gently on their joined backs, her presence a silent anchor.
We were all lost, but we are not lost now.
Elena pressed a palm flat against her heart, tears sliding into the silver of her hair.
"I can't believe I am witnessing this. A family pieced back together."
The embrace was fragile, a bridge of glass over a chasm. But for the first time in 15 years, it held. And then Leo's composure shattered. A raw sob tore from his chest, muffled against his father's shoulder. Victor buried his face in his son's hair, his own tears soaking into the fabric of Leo's jacket.
Dad, I am sorry.
I am here, son. I am not going anywhere.
Clara slipped her arms around them both, creating a circle of 3 that had been broken for so long. Her tears dripped onto their shoulders, mingling with theirs, a quiet baptism of forgiveness. From her wheelchair, Elena's hands rose. She signed a single word that Charlotte translated aloud.
She says, Finally,
The sound of weeping, not of sorrow but of release, filled the grand hall like a hymn. No one moved. The world outside the ballroom had ceased to exist. Charlotte, still at the edge of the huddle, saw the one person who had started it all, still outside the circle. Without a word, she stepped behind Elena's wheelchair and rolled her forward into the heart of the weeping. Victor and Leo turned from their embrace. Their tear-streaked faces understood at once. Victor knelt first, then Leo, their knees hitting the marble beside the wheelchair.
Mama, forgive me. I forgot you when you needed me most.
she says, I have never blamed you. I only wanted you to see each other.
Leo took her other hand and pressed it to his wet cheek, his shoulders shaking again. Clara knelt beside her brother and nephew, her arms reaching to encircle them all. The Reeves family wept around the grandmother who had been invisible for so long, now the center of their world. Not a single dry eye remained in the hall. Even the distant kitchen staff, peering through the crack, cried freely. The raw sobbing slowly subsided into ragged breaths, and the occasional shuddering sigh from the kitchen doorway. A server wiped her eyes and pulled the door closed, granting them privacy. Clara leaned her head against Victor's shoulder, her tears staining the wool of his suit. Victor pressed a kiss to her hair, his eyes closed, his breathing still uneven. Leo lifted Elena's hand and kissed her knuckles, his lips trembling against her aged skin. Elena's free hand lifted and stroked his head, her touch steady and forgiving. The tight family circle loosened, shoulders sagging with the weight of released pain. Charlotte took a silent step backward, her heart full, her work done.
We should get some water. And maybe sit down, all of us.
Victor nodded, and as he finally released Leo from his arms, their eyes met with a new, unspoken understanding. In the quiet that followed, Leo turned to Charlotte, a new resolve glinting through his exhaustion.
Teach me. I want to speak to my grandmother without needing a translator.
Like this, a circle with your hands. It means family.
Victor approached his mother and made his hand sweep across his forehead. Clumsy, broken, but the most important sign he'd ever attempted.
I am sorry, Mama. I am learning.
Elena's wrinkled hands lifted in reply, her movements gentle but firm.
She says, good, very good. We all need to learn now.
Then we'll all learn together. As a family.
The Reeves family drew chairs around the wheelchair, forming a table that had no head, no foot, only a center. Elena's hands folded in her lap, a serene smile curving her lips. The silence that surrounded her now was one of love, not isolation. Elena's hands rose one final time, not in urgency, but in a slow, deliberate blessing.
She says, may this family never break again. May Isabel watch over you all.
Leo placed his hand over hers, his palm warm against her fragile skin. Victor's hand covered Leo's, a bridge across generations. Clara completed the stack, her fingers gently pressing down on theirs. 4 hands, one family, held together by the matriarch who had never given up. Charlotte retrieved the worn photograph from the table and laid it in Elena's lap. Elena looked down at Isabel's smiling face, and a single tear traced her cheek, but this time it was pure joy. The Reeves family gathered around, and for a moment the room held only the sound of quiet, shared peace. Charlotte slipped toward the service door, and Victor caught her eye with a look of profound gratitude. Charlotte slipped through the service door, the muffled sound of the weeping family fading behind her. In the quiet corridor, she leaned against the wall and closed her eyes, finally allowing her body to unclench. The door cracked open. Victor stepped into the corridor, his eyes swollen but warm.
I don't know how to thank you, what you did tonight. There's no price for that.
I just did what needed to be done. She deserved to be heard.
He pressed an envelope into her palm, her fingers closed around it, the paper weighty.
$100,000. This could change everything.
Tears welled as she folded the check and held it to her chest, a silent promise to her own sister. Victor touched her shoulder once, then turned and walked back toward his family. Charlotte walked toward the hotel exit, her work complete, her heart full, a better future waiting outside. Back in the grand hall, the feast lay in quiet disarray. Only a single candle still burned. Outside the hotel, Charlotte stood at the bus stop, the envelope still warm in her hand.
Grace will get her surgery now? Because of tonight?
Back at the Reeves estate, the torn letter would be framed, a testament to a secret that healed a family. Leo was already practicing the sign for family, his fingers clumsy but determined. Victor had made a promise. He would never stop speaking his mother's language. Elena's hands finally rested in peace. Her long silence broken at last. The wheelchair sat empty by the window, the sunrise spilling gold across its seat. In the restored ballroom, a single red rose lay where Charlotte had knelt, and Charlotte walked into the morning light, knowing she had brought a family home.